Hey, volleyball fans, Rob St. Clair here from the European Volleyball Show, and we are finally done with our EuroVolley men's previews. This one will be Pool D, breaking down the final pool of the men's tournament. The tournament just around the corner, less than a week away as this comes out. So hope this does a decent job of previewing and hope you've enjoyed the rest of the previews along the way. Almost time to just step out of the way and play the tournament. Going to look at all 6 teams here in Pool D, their histories in the European Championships, their histories against one another, and then I'll make some picks towards the end. So let's jump right into it, starting off with the hosts of Pool D. Estonia hosting Pool D in Tallinn, participating in the European Championships for the 6th time ever. They made their debut in 2009 and have only missed one tournament since. Their best result all time, 11th place in 2015. So definitely eyes on the top 10 this time for Estonia, or perhaps the top 8 making it to the quarterfinals. Estonia's played 19 matches all time in the European Championships, and they've only won 2 of them, beating Portugal in 2011 and Croatia in 2015. So a good opportunity here hosting this pool, and we'll get into later the teams that they selected and kind of how they built this pool around themselves hosting it in Tallinn. Next up in Pool D, I think clearly the flagship team in this pool, the Olympic champions from France. Of course, like the legendary finish that France had to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, beating Russia 3-2 to win the gold, their first Olympic medal ever in men's or women's volleyball. And interestingly, as the history relates to Olympic champions in the European Championships, the previous 7 European winners of Olympic gold, those 6 of those 7 won the European Championship title their first time out after the Olympic Games. So historically, the Soviet Union did this in 1967, 71, and 81. The Netherlands did it in 97. Yugoslavia did it in 2001, and Russia did it in 2013. So the only team to fail to do this, Poland, winning the Olympic gold in 1976, did not win the European Championship in 1977, which was won by the Soviet Union. So history strongly on the side of France. The momentum of Olympic gold carrying into the European Championships is very historically strong. But this will be the first time ever that the tournaments have been played in such close succession. The European Championships usually played in odd-numbered years. Of course, the Olympics being pushed back a year to 2021. So very interested to see how France follows up their incredible Olympic performance really just a couple weeks ago at the European Championships this year, and a different-looking French team already. A new coach, Laurent Tilly, retired, rode into the sunset with Olympic gold around his neck. He is done. Now, Bernardo Rezende, the legendary Brazilian coach, is the new coach of France, and he is coaching in this tournament. And already most of the roster has been named. No Stéphane Boyer, no Kevin Tilly on this French roster for EuroVolley. So already a slightly different looking French team in the new Bernardinho regime. More on France's European Championship history. They're making their 30th appearance all time, only missing out on the 1950 and 1995 editions. Champions in 2015, runners-up in 1987, 2003, and 2009, and also on the podium with bronze in 1951 and 85. So pretty good history scattered across the European Championship history for France. EuroVolley 2019, France finished in 4th after losing in straight sets to Poland in the bronze medal match. They lost to Serbia in the semifinals. One thing that we haven't talked about all that much about France's Olympic gold medal is that they barely were able to qualify for that tournament. They defeated Germany in the final of the European Olympic qualification tournament for the 2020 Games. They also beat the Germans each of the last 3 times in the Volleyball Nations League, 2018, 2019, 2021. So Germany, in my opinion, the only team that can even come close to hanging with France's talent in this pool, and recent history for France very strong against Germany. France historically in the European Championships also unbeaten all time against Slovakia. They're 4-0, Estonia 1-0, and Croatia 1-0. And against Germany, both including East-West Germany and Unified Germany, France is 11-4 all time. Moving on to Germany, the Germans have competed in 13 of the last 15 European Championships held since the reunification, only missing the editions in 1999-2005. Their only podium finish in that stage was second place in 2017, losing to Russia in the gold medal match. East Germany's best result ever in the European Championships was fourth place in 1967 and 71. West Germany never finished higher than 11th, doing so in 1981 and 1989. Against their Pool D rivals, Germany has won their only meeting ever with Latvia in 1995, winning 5 of their 7 all-time against Slovakia, including the 2 most recent in 2017 and 2019. Moving on to Slovakia, they make their 11th appearance at the European Championships. Since debuting in 1997, they've only missed out on the tournament in 1999 and 2005. Their best result ever, 5th place in 2011. They finished 19th 2 years ago in 2019, failing to make it out of the group stage. Germany are one of the 2 opponents Slovakia has beaten multiple times in the European Championships, having beaten them twice. They've also beaten Slovenia 3 times. Slovakia beat Germany 3-1 in both 1997 and 2011 in the pool phase. Moving on to Croatia, participating in the European Championships for the 4th time. They finished 8th in 2005, 14th in 2007, and 15th in 2015. Their most recent participation in 2015, losing all 3 of their matches in straight sets, including 2 against France and Estonia. Croatia's 2 European Championship match wins in history both came in 2005 against Portugal 3-2 and the Ukraine 3-0. And last but not least, Latvia, appearing in the European Championships for the 2nd time ever after 1995, where they finished 11th. They are 0-5 all-time in European Championship history, including a 3-1 loss to Germany in 1995. So moving on to my picks for Pool D. Again, like I mentioned, I think this is the weakest pool of them by far, top to bottom. I think the only team that can really compete with France here is Germany, so we'll get to that in the picks in a second. But my presumptive MVP of France, a recently named Olympic gold medalist, opposite Jean Patry. I know Erwin Engepeth was MVP of the Olympics, but I think Jean Patry was the most important player in that tournament. He was unbelievably efficient in the knockout stage, really good against Poland in the quarterfinals. I don't think he made an error in that match. He was just tremendous. And then equally good against Argentina in the semifinals before being just perfect, very close to perfect against the Russian Olympic Committee in the gold medal match. Jean Patry is my pick for MVP of Pool D. Erwin Engepeth will, of course, have his fingerprints all over this one as well. But in terms of volume of point production, I expect a lot of that to come from the opposite, Jean Patry. My breakout player for this pool, kind of a tough one to pick, but I'm going to go with Moritz Karlitzek of Germany. We don't exactly know the German roster yet, but Karlitzek is a guy who I would really like to see take the next step in his international career. We saw him play a little bit and played in a streaky fashion for Modena this past club season, but he's a guy who I would really like to see take the playing time that's given to him and really capitalize on it, playing consistently. He's a really sensational athlete, just needs to shore up his service reception a little bit, can be really a dynamic attacker, and a pool, like I mentioned, this Pool D, an opportunity for him to have a longer leash and really play well against a little bit of weaker competition. So Moritz Karlitzek, my pick for breakout player in Pool D. My match to watch in Pool D, a spotlight on the first match in the pool, the battle for the Baltics, Estonia versus Latvia. This is a big match to the hosts and their neighbors in Latvia. Estonia had a choice of who among the entire pool of the tournament they wanted to include in their pool, and they chose Latvia specifically to generate this matchup, and I love that. A huge rivalry between Estonia and Latvia, of course, Baltic neighbors. I expect this match to be really competitive and really set the tone for what this Pool D is going to bring. The first match of the pool on September 1st, one of the very first of the entire tournament. So definitely tune in to Estonia versus Latvia if at all possible. And last but not least, my picks for the tournament. I'm actually going to start at the top this time. I'm going to start with France. I can't see any reason why they won't win this pool. I do think they're playing with house money in a way after winning the Olympics. I don't think there's really any pressure on them in this European Championships, especially with a new coach and a little bit of a different roster. I really think they're playing with house money, but I can't see any reason why they won't win this pool. I think their talent and their experience is just so much higher and better than everybody else in the pool. And I do think that Germany, who I'll pick second, has the best chance at knocking them out of that spot. But I am going to pick France first and Germany second. Then after that, I think it's really difficult to pick. I think the recent showings of Croatia, Slovakia, Estonia, and Latvia are really all across the board. I'm going to go ahead and give the hosts in Estonia third. I like their recent performance in the European leagues, both Golden and Silver League. They've played well in those competitions, including this year, bronze in 2021 Golden League. And home field advantage is a big deal. I think that's going to be a factor for all the teams across all the pools that are hosting. So I'm going to go with Estonia third. And then let's go with Croatia in fourth. I think Croatia's got a couple players like Timofey Zhukovsky who have played really high-level international volleyball before. Then that leaves, I think, Slovakia in fifth and Latvia in sixth. I really could see those four spots, third through sixth, going just about any direction. I think those matches are going to be very competitive. But I think there's a clear drop-off after France and Germany in the first and second spots here in Pool D. So a lot of battles to be had in this pool in an attempt to make it out of the pool. Top 4 of the 6 advance to the round of 16. And that would be a pretty nice achievement for a lot of those teams in the 3rd through 6th spots in my predictions. So that'll about do it for all of our EuroVolley previews for the men. Thanks for tuning in all the way along the way, and nothing left to do now but step aside and let the volleyball play out. Some of the matches will be streamed here on the YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed. But if you want to catch every single match, check out EuroVolley.tv, a really good promo going on right now to be able to catch every single match of the men's and the women's competition. You will not want to miss some of these matches in the pool phase, and especially when we get to the knockout round later on. Other than that, stay tuned to all the CEV digital platforms, the website, and all the social media channels for a lot more leading up to the tournament. And without any more previews to get through, it's time to watch some volleyball, everyone. So tune into EuroVolley.tv, like I said. Make sure you know where you can watch the matches in your country, and check out the European Volleyball Show coming back on Fridays throughout the tournament, where Dan and I will talk a lot about what's going on the men's and women's sides in EuroVolley 2021. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the court.